Hello. Today we're going to delve into Stave 4 of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And we're going to focus on that faceless phantom that frightens Scrooge into fixing his own personal failings. Why is this ghost faceless? Well, the ghost of Christmas yet to come symbolises the future, doesn't it? Therefore, his vague appearance is highly suitable because we don't know what the future looks like, do we? Anyway, we're going to take a fruitful look at the significance of this ghost, both in terms of what he looks like and what he does. Dickens catapults us into Stave 4 with a description of this final phantom, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, otherwise known as the ghost of the future. Now, this Johnny's appearance is designed to ramp up that sense of tension. The deep black garment makes him look a bit like the Grim Reaper, and of course black as well generates that connotation of death. There is nothing about the look of this lad that's reassuring. He's a sinister presence, and that sinister aspect is compounded by the fact that he doesn't speak. He's described as a silent shape. I don't know if you've ever seen the film Halloween either. The noun shape, in the credits for Halloween, Michael Myers the killer is credited as the Shape. And again, I think that really serves to capture the inhuman, supernatural quality of that character. And it's the same deal here with the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Scrooge puts these feelings into words, doesn't he? I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. Probably because, thanks to Marley's visit in Stave 1, Scrooge knows his future looks pretty bleak. You know, his future is not so bright as to wear shades. Moving deeper into Stave 4 now. What comes next for entertainment? Well, we see some buck-ugly businessmen discussing a recently deceased colleague. They show no sympathy for the recently departed. In fact, they're just wondering if they can get a free feed at the funeral. And all the while, they're chinking the money in their pockets. And Scrooge realises, whilst he's watching this scene, that there is, this is the quotation, a moral for his own improvement. In other words, Scrooge recognises there's a lesson to be learned here. Why go further? I'd say there's two. First of all, obviously we learn that the dead man is Scrooge. We're perceiving that nobody cares about him. As a consequence of his greedy, selfish existence, he dies unloved. That's one moral or lesson. Secondly, it's significant that these two lads, the businessmen, are buck ugly with the big nose and the big fat wobbly chins. This is symbolic. Their external ugliness mirrors or reflects an inner ugliness. It suggests that the intrinsic greed, the basic greedy element of these men is a very unattractive feature or trait. And there are more morals for Scrooge's improvement when the ghost takes him to the slums of London. We enter a pawnbroker's where we see some poor servants who've robbed the dead man, Scrooge. They nicked his clothes and his blankets with a view to earning a few quid in the selling of them. Now, the moral here is that greed doesn't make you powerful. In fact, it makes you vulnerable. If you die unloved because you're so greedy and selfish, you're going to be at the mercy of the predatory elements in society. I mean, yeesh, even the cats and the rats in his house, what a piece of Scrooge. They want to chow down on his rotting flesh. It's ironic, really. Scrooge, in life, exploited everybody. In death, he himself is being exploited by the very people he wronged. There's a kind of poetic justice there, I think. Ah, poor tiny Tim. There's not really a fund of laughs in the image of a dead child, is there? You look at Tim, this poor but loved boy, part of a family who recognised and cherished his goodness. They'll never forget him. He'll certainly not be forgotten by those whose hearts he touched. Contrast dead Tim with dead Scrooge, a rich but unloved man, quickly forgotten as he's too unpleasant to remember. And in the cemetery where the ghost takes him next, it finally dawns on Scrooge that the dead man that he's been hearing about and seeing is in fact himself. And in that cemetery, it says the cemetery is overgrown. So even the cemetery is neglected, forgotten about. Very fitting for this man who's quickly forgotten about. And the graveyard is described as having an appetite, which is a really horrifying metaphor, maybe very realistic metaphor, the idea of being consumed or eaten up by nature. In body and in spirit then, there is little left to mourn of Scrooge once he's dead. But of course, on the back end of those pessimistic visions of the future, Scrooge is reborn, Scrooge is rebooted. That ghostly visitor, those ghostly visitors perhaps, have reshaped, restored Scrooge's character. He is now a good man. And Scrooge rolls out that metaphor, doesn't he? He says, I will honour Christmas in my heart. Translation, from now on, I'm going to be kind and generous
I'm going to let my charitable instincts thrive. That's going to characterise my new nature, if new nature isn't an oxymoron. After 3 supernatural visitors, not including Marley's ghost, Scrooge has been scared straight. He's shaken off his need for greed and isolation. He's become a warmer human being, hungry for social interaction.
Right then, let's call time on this carousel of first-class content. The ghost of Christmas yet to come is a sinister specimen, bestowing dark glimpses of the grim future Scrooge is doomed to if he doesn't buck up his ideas pretty darn quickly and start dialing down the greed and the emotional coldness. And on that note, I'll leave you to your futures, hopefully a sight brighter than Scrooge's at this junction. I wish you the very best of luck in that exam hall.